Low car life struggles. Having a low car, whether it's from factory or because you did it intentionally, is visually one of the most impactful mods, but technically one of the most frustrating mods. In this video, we won't just be talking about low cars from a suspension standpoint, but also from a roofline standpoint. This is because some of the problems I'm about to mention are only unique to low rooflines. And since I know that some of y'all are asking about the credibility of me making this video, I may still be at stock ride height, but do not doubt my grandpa fitment, for I've got something known as long tube headers. Y'all in Stance Nation can keep rolling fenders, but I'm not about to destroy a set of custom headers and spark everywhere I go in town, so I will not be lowering any more. Anyways, onto the video. Speed bumps. Speed bumps are a necessary addition to public safety for pedestrians and many other reasons, but oh dear god, they're equivalent to the final boss battle to anyone with a lowered car. You could be having the time of your life with the boys and then BAM! A speed bump shows up. And as you struggle to traverse over it, your friends and your Subies and Jeeps, they're just gonna go over it with ease and they're just gonna pull away and leave you behind. And you're just gonna still be back there solving it like some puzzle made by the ancient Mayans. Fact! Every lowered car owner is an expert at geometry because of how often we have to calculate our angle of approach and how varied of a solution each circumstance requires. Bonus points to other people with long tube headers, as even according to my slam bros, we have it hard in a different way. Most slammed cars are low in the front and rear, which give them better consistency and also gives them relief when one of their wheel finally goes over the obstacle, which elevates the car slightly. However, when the lowest point of the car is in the middle, this elevation boost, it's invalidated and you still scrape whatever is in the middle regardless. And unlike scraping a cheap plastic splitter, it's an expensive set of stainless long tubes. A solution is to titanium wrap your headers and just redo it every few months. I'm about to do it to mine again. And for anyone crazy enough to run both a lowered car and long tube headers, bless your soul, you masochist. Gather now for a prayer, my wayward child. Today I pray that your journeys ahead are filled with the smoothest of roads. That, or I hope that you're just running air suspension. Amen. Visibility. Yeah, so visibility is fun. Lower cars tend to have less visibility compared to higher vehicles, which is why every bad driver ever has such a hard-on for SUVs, claiming it'll make them safer. No, it won't, Karen. You still suck regardless whether you can see the road or not, so you should probably just go back to driving school, but that's a topic for another time. Anyways, even with lowered cars that have large windows, they technically don't have less visibility, quote-unquote. They see the same amount of things, it's just a different type of thing. If you're in a lower car, you're looking upwards. You see more of the sky than you do the road, whereas in an SUV you see more of the road than you do the sky, and last time I checked, looking at the road is more important. This effect is furthered more for those who have a massive hood that blocks a lot more visibility. Now, back to what I mentioned at the start of this video, here's where a difference exists. For cars with low roof lines, stoplights are a pain since it literally doesn't enter our field of view if we pull too close. Whereas lowered cars don't always struggle from this. For example, if you have a slammed Chrysler 300C, so for example, stock ride height on those cars is about 58 inches, and you can get them sitting on their fenders by going down 4 to 5 inches, you will still have a better roof line than a stock Corvette. So most slammed car owners in Civics and sedans and other cars like that, they're just gonna see stoplights perfectly fine. However, for people who have low roof lines like exotic cars or supercars, we will struggle, and especially if you decide to lower those exotic cars or supercars, you struggle even more. A very counterintuitive piece of advice I like to offer is actually stay a few feet back from the white line at stoplights. And I know every driving school is going to yell at me for this for safety, but in this case you're actually more safe staying a few feet back. Now this will vary based on cities. Some cities have really short stoplights that are still visible, but others will have really high ones that you've got to be at least 5 feet back to see. And a lot of people are going to look at you really weirdly. A lot of people think you're rude, they're going to think you're lazy, that you're absent-minded, but if you are watching this video and you don't own a very low roofline car, I hope you have sympathy because they're doing the opposite. They're not being a lazy bad driver, they're actually being a safe driver. They have to stay a few feet back because us Corvette owners or anyone who owns a Ferrari or Lamborghini, we literally cannot see the stoplight if we're all the way at the line. Now, if you do accidentally pull up too far, there's a few solutions that you can still do. One of which is to crane your neck until you can, and even if you crane your neck as low as possible, especially for mid-engine cars that have really short fronts, this method may still unfortunately not work and it may still not be good enough, so you have to do the tried and true final resort, which is rolling down your driver's window and sticking your head out until you see the light turn green. And another way to solve this is if you're never at first at the stoplight, if you're always behind someone, you can just follow their lead. But obviously that's not how life works. Sometimes you're just gonna be at front at the stoplight and you can't just follow people's lead. So you've got to just keep watch of the light like a proper driver should. Always be safe. Speaking of being behind people, being behind taller vehicles can definitely create frustration for many low car owners, but it's not impossible to see ahead. If the person in front of you has no window tint, you can actually just see right through their rear window whether or not the light becomes green or not. If you can't see through their window, another really overly try-hard thing that I've developed recently, I'm proud of this skill, is that you can actually see the color of the reflection of the light on their paint. No, I'm not joking, especially during evening or nighttime or morning time. If the car in front of you has a gloss or metallic finish and the light is red, you'll see that has a light red sheen to it. When it becomes a light green sheen to it, you know it's now a green light. And yeah, I know that is only someone who owns a low car would eventually evolve to have a skill like this. And it's not always perfect because if you meet an SUV that not only has a limo tint so you can't see through their windows, but also has a non-reflective matte paint finish, well, better luck next time. You can't use either of these tips. In that case, just be slow and steady. Follow their lead except for on left turns. On left turns, never follow someone through a left turn, especially in a low car. Let the field of view open up to you. Basically, let them finish their left turn almost completely until you can see oncoming traffic. A very stupid mistake that I see even for non-lowered cars. If you're in an SUV and you're behind a bus, that's where you guys actually feel like us and what we have to deal with, because a bus is way taller than an SUV. And I will see this happen on college campus where the bus will make a left turn and there'll be a stupid SUV that follows right behind it. I'm like, that's not how it works. And what do you know? He gets side impacted because it was not an open field of view. So again, do not follow people through left turns if you cannot see. Bumpity bump, thumpity thump. Prepare your booty for lots of cruelty, as low cars come with very stiff rides. Do note that this stiff ride does come with lots of benefits even in normal daily driving, like better aerodynamics, better gas mileage, better handling characteristics, and less body roll. It is also at this moment that I realize how many jokes people are going to make about stiff rides anyways. Regardless, I just keep going on. Assuming you get a good set of lowering springs or coilovers, you will get all the aforementioned benefits. But let's be real, not everyone does that. You've got teenagers who just go to Home Depot, buy rusty springs, cut them, and then put them back on their car just to get lower. And I highly doubt you're actually improving anything if you're doing it that haphazardly, other than the ability to consistently yeet yourself to another dimension every time you go over a bump. But hey, you look cool, I guess. And having said that, you're probably wondering, in spite of all these problems, why do people go through all the trouble of lowering their cars? And it boils down to exactly what I just mentioned: to look cool. People want to reduce wheel gap, especially for the sake of style in the modern day and age. Back then, people used to like fender tuck. Now people like fender flush. And now we're at the days where like poke. And then stance is even a thing. Lowered cars are a thing. If you got flush, extra flush, hella flush, sitting on your fenders, blah blah blah. The terminology goes on. The point is, aerodynamics, gas mileage, and handling are usually an afterthought for most lowered car owners. But before we can conclude this video, I'd like to offer some alternatives to lowering your car that can also fix your grandpa fitment. Air suspension is probably the most known one, but it's also the most expensive one. However, it does come with a good price because it's the most thorough solution. Air suspension allows you to lower your car whenever you want, but also raise it back up so you can actually drive the dang thing everywhere else. It also gives you access to the cool guys club where you can look down upon every other lowered car owner and go, static peasant, as you make little gas noises on your way into every meet. The only downside of air suspension is its price, maintenance, and the fact that it's not available for every vehicle. Aside from lowering in general, another option to reduce wheel gap is to just get larger wheels. If you want a more flush look, you can also get better offset as well. Now, for more details regarding this, check out my noob's guide to wheels. Do note, larger wheels do require updating your speedometer amongst other things. The main thing to keep in mind for those after performance, however, do not go too big, as too large of wheels means too much weight, and also too much rotational mass, thus reducing your 0 to 60 and possibly going through a ton of clutches like the owner of this Lamborghini Murcielago did on Ed Bullion's story. Also, don't even think about trying to tank potholes like ever. You better have really good vision and see these potholes from a mile away and weave appropriately, because large wheels combined with little sidewalls, that's just asking to get bent up by every pothole you see. So with that said, this is probably the best solution in my opinion. Actually, just kidding, it's the best solution overall. It's fact, confirmed. Higher profile tires. You can fill upwards of 3 inches just by getting higher profile tires. Tires are often cheaper than wheels, and let's be real, they require replacement eventually, which means you're gonna change them regardless. So next time you do need to change them, get thicker sidewall tires. For some reason, thicker sidewall tires have been phased out because they're just not as fashionable. As I mentioned, a lot of this is about fashion. I don't care. I'm bringing them back into style. Look at how much better this fits compared to this. I'm going to pick myself up some higher profile tires because I'm sick of bending wheels. Anyways, thick thighs save lives. That's the wrong one. Anyways, thick sidewalls save rims. So get yourself some thicker sidewalls for more comfort, quieter rides, and also less bent wheels, which will save money in your wallet. But before I go too overboard talking about tires, I'm gonna end the video here. If you'd like to learn more about tires, then look forward to my Noob's Guide to Tires video coming soon to a bladed near you. For now though, if you enjoy learning more about cars, make sure to check out my other videos. Otherwise, thanks for watching and see y'all next time. Blade Angel out.